Hello, everyone, and welcome to New York Empoleon's Week 7 Team Builder of the PBAL. We are here this week taking on the Atlanta Victory Stars, coached by Playmaker, a longtime friend of mine in the community, and this is a special video for a number of reasons. The first, of course, being that this is being recorded on December 31st of 2020, the last battle I will ever record in the year 2020, which was actually quite a good year for me competitively overall, and I'm hoping we can finish it off the same way that it's been going so far, with a huge winning streak. This is also going to be a big battle for me because the longest winning streak I've ever had to start a season in history is 7 weeks, and this would be matching that, which would actually be the first ever league that I did that went 7 weeks. I went 7-0 to start the league before losing in week 8, and so to get to that point again, which I haven't been able to do in years, would be amazing. And of course, I wouldn't have anybody else. I wouldn't want to face anybody else to tie that match, that record again. Other than Playmaker, who is one of my best friends in the community. And if you haven't checked out his content, please go do so. He's an amazing guy and makes amazing content, and you should definitely check it out. All right, let's jump into it, though. That was enough blabbering about random stuff that you guys probably don't even care about, but matters to me because I'm a sentimental person. His team is Cinderace, Garchomp, Moltres, Galar, Togekiss, Hitmontop, Magnezone, Tangela, Blissey, Slowking, and Pyukumuku. Oh, why are there so many fat teams in this league? Look, I can't use the timer that allows for fat teams to be good. So basically, it's just, can I trade? And I had to draft a team that was super offensive, and I did. So that's where we're at. Hopefully, this team is offensive enough to pound through the defensiveness of his team. We've got some fun tech waiting for Playmaker, though. So we're going to start off right here. First thing with Banded Swampert with Stealth Rock. I want to bluff that I'm not banded because it's not very common that you see banded Swampert. I want to bluff that, and then I want to be able to slam him later on. This thing can switch into the Cinderace fairly freely. It can take a hit from the Garchomp. It can take a hit from basically anything. It stops the Magnezone pretty much in its tracks. Maybe not totally, like Specs or Analytic. Magnezone can do like 50% with an attack, but Earthquake is definitely a threat, and Flip Turn is obviously great. Yes, it lets the Tangela come in. It lets the Slowking come in a little bit. But I do have the Ice Punch for things like the Togekiss, the Garchomp, and the Tangela trying to switch in on me. Banded Ice Punch still does work, and Flip Turn gets me out of there, so I don't have to worry too much about it. Stealth Rock is really good against this roster. Seeing what has boots on it and just going for the Stealth Rock, it's not super scary for me to have them up against me, so I'm not as threatened by them. So if his Cinderace does decide to court change, we'll be okay. I like this set. I think this set works really well as an early game breaker. That's the point. It just does some damage and eventually is usually a sack, and then I let it go. I'm not going to try to get this thing a sweep. It's banded to do a lot of damage. It's got Stealth Rock to get that extra chip damage even once it's gone, and hopefully from there, it's going to be a good mon. Next up is Dragapult. I actually kind of hate this set, but it is what it is. I couldn't think of a better one. So we're rocking out with the U-Turn, Dragon Darts, Phantom Force, and Thunder Wave with the Power Herb to make that Phantom Force a one-turn attack once to try to catch something like the Slowking napping, thinking that, oh, it's a physical set, I'll be fine, and then I boop, Phantom Force, kill it, and then I can move on, because Slowking is a nuisance. It also manages to hit the Magnezone really hard, which is something really nice that I like, because I didn't really have coverage for the Magnezone. That is a huge problem for my roster. Dragon Darts is great because it pops a Habanberry on a Garchomp and can 2-hit KO something like a Blissey by hitting twice and getting the extra, basically stab damage each time. And then Thunder Wave, I had a choice between Thunder Wave and Will-O-Wisp in the last slot since I wasn't really going to use any other offensive move. And I had Will-O-Wisp for a while for things like the Garchomp, but I'd never click it against the Garchomp. I'm going to click Dragon Darts if I'm going to stay in against the Garchomp. I would never really want to click Willow. And Thunder Wave is just so much better against things like Togekiss that can switch into this. And by paralyzing that, he can't paraflinch me, which is ridiculous. That is so helpful. So by being able to do that against things like the Togekiss, the Moltres that can switch into this, perhaps even the Slowking that can switch into this, or the Blissey that, yeah, it has Natural Cure, but Para is so much more useful while it's in the field than Willow is, that I just figured that was going to be better overall. Next up is the mon that I definitely had the most trouble with this week. This was originally Girder. It switched to Obstagoon, and I ended up settling on Assault Vest, Max HP Emolga. It's max speed because it outspeeds Garchomp by 1 point naturally, so we had to run max speed. And so Knockoff, U-Turn, Wild Charge, Nuzzle. This thing doesn't get any coverage for Magnezone. It doesn't get Super Fang. I really wanted it to. Like, I think it can do a lot of work if it had slightly better moves, like even slightly better move options. But Again, Pair is really good against his roster, and I really like it. So Nuzzle was sort of an auto-include, and knockoff spam is real. This thing is a basically hard counter to Magnezone. It just gets rid of whatever the item is, gets rid of the Specs, or the Air Balloon, or the Shuka Berry, or whatever, or on whatever he chooses to switch into me. Which could be, you know, the Blissey if he thinks that I'm special. Could be the Garchomp if he thinks I'm going for an electric type attack. You know, if you got the Moltres or the Togekiss in. This thing also doesn't get paralyzed by Togekiss. Outspeeds. Air Slash doesn't really do anything to me. Moltres can't kill me right away. I can knock off the potential weakness policy and then go for like Nuzzle and get rid of them like new to the Moltres. So, like, this thing really actually is a great utility mon this week, but it's probably not going to do all of those things. I'm kind of hoping it does one, maybe two of them in this particular matchup, because the next couple mons that are coming up are my sweepers. Now, the first one is going to be Talonflame. Basically, if the Slowking has revealed itself to be a support Slowking set, this wins the game, depending on what his other mons are, and things are a little bit chipped, right? So we need the chip on the Garchomp and the Moltres, but only slightly. And once we have that, basically, I mean, you know it's not Scarf Togekiss. And if we know the Slowking is support, then sub bulk up. Basically, if he's not, you know, if he's trying to run like Thunder Wave or Toxic on the Slowking to try to catch me, I just sub in front of it, bulk up a couple of times, and then just go for dual Wing Beats. You know, at +2, basically dual Wing Beat can 2 KO his entire roster. Flare Blitz can kill the Magnezone, which is really his only resist to flying. And we can just go from there. And this thing does a lot of work if that is the set. However, if Slowking shows to be not the support set that I'm expecting him to bring, then the other sweeper is Gardevoir, and basically Talonflame's job becomes kill the Magnezone. That's the really only job I need it to do if I haven't revealed the Slowking, because then Gardevoir can come in and kill the rest of his roster with stab moves. Sub Calm Mind on this. Again, this is to avoid the Thunder Wave spam that I think he's just going to be throwing around like crazy. And then we've got dual stabs because that hits his entire team, again, except Magnezone, incredibly hard. And this thing, obviously, I love bringing it in like the Slowking if I can predict a teleport or a Thunder Wave and go for a substitute. As he switches out, I get Regenerator, so if I do need to bring it back in later, I can have it. Calm Mind for free once, maybe even twice, and then start firing off Moonblasts until Kingdom Come or until the Magnezone switches in. Those two mons, basically by themselves, can take on his entire roster if they get the opportunity to set up, and that's really what the game is all about, is getting an opportunity for either Talonflame or Gardevoir to win, with those first three mons being sort of a catch-all to anything that might fall through the cracks, like the Magnezone especially, is like, really, how do I deal with Magnezone? And the last mon on my roster, we are going to rock out with the Wonder Room Nihiligo. You heard that right. It's not Trick Room. I am max speed because I don't actually want things to be slow. I want the defense and special defensive things to be switched. So basically, if I click Wonder Room, then things like Bullet Punch from Hitmontop does like 29%. Things like Cinderace going for a U-turn or a Pyro Ball does like 30% max. Meanwhile, the Blissey becomes physically defensive, not specially defensive, and therefore Power Gem or Sludge Bomb becomes a clean 2-hit KO easily. And Slowking also becomes more physically defensive than specially defensive, meaning that if it's even slightly chipped, like 50%, I can kill it with a Sludge Bomb pretty freely. Hitmontop with an Assault Vest, get that out of here, that's not a problem. And just like basically his entire roster is more specially defensive than physically defensive. So I said, let's go Wonder Room. Let's see what happens. If push comes to shove and I lose, I'm in a good position where playoffs are within sight. If I win this game, I actually might qualify for playoffs. I haven't done the math yet, but I think it's true. So like, I'm in a pretty good position where I can run the crazy tech. And honestly, if his answer to this is sack something and then let the Hitmontop with Bullet Punch try to take it out, then that won't work. And I'm super excited about that because I think this is such a fun set. So anyway, I will see you guys all back here tomorrow with that battle, the very last battle that I will be doing in 2020. I hope you all enjoy, and I will see you guys all back here then. Take care, everybody.